Good afternoon. I'm Joseph D'Amico, Superintendent of the New York State Police. And just by way of introduction, some of the people who are up here. From the back, Major Frank Hoots, who's the Troop Commander in Troop D. Lieutenant Derek Harris from the Community Narcotics Enforcement Team. Major Dave Krause, Community Narcotics Enforcement Team. Also Captain Greg Thomas. Deputy Chief Gene Black from the Organized Crime Task Force. Detective Raul Santana from Syracuse PD, and with me, Deputy Attorney General in charge of the Organized Crime Task Force, Perry Kadnoff, and of course, our own Chief Frank Fowler from Syracuse PD. So today I stand with my partners in law enforcement to announce the takedown of a major narcotics case dubbed Operation Smackdown, with the indictment and subsequent arrest of 72 individuals. The case involved two drug organizations that brought heroin, cocaine, and pills from the Bronx to central New York and sold them in the city of Syracuse and the surrounding communities of Onondaga and Oswego counties. This morning, investigators from numerous law enforcement agencies fanned out across the region and took 62 of these subjects into custody. The hunt continues for the remaining subjects, and I'm confident that law enforcement will soon have the rest in hand as well. In a moment, you're going to hear the details of the investigation and the evidence from Deputy Attorney General in charge of the Organized Crime Task Force. Together with our local and federal partners, our goal is to work to disrupt the supply chain of drugs that come from New York City and other areas to the upstate New York region, and to get these drugs out of our neighborhoods. We're working day in and day out to make these big cases, to dismantle these drug gangs and these organizations involved, and to get the drugs off our streets. Working together at all levels of law enforcement, federal, state, and local, and utilizing all of the resource and expertise that we have, and that's the key to success. For the dealers bringing the drugs upstate and who are responsible for the rising deaths and the overdoses, make no mistake, we're coming for you. And we'll use all the resources at our disposal. Just for an example, during an arrest yesterday of a subject, we came upon a safe that we knew contained narcotics. The dealer said, "Good luck getting in there." We said, "No problem." We had the Pulaski Fire Department come in and use the jaws of life and tear the door off. The evidence was taken into custody, and today the owner sits in a jail cell. The individuals charged today had absolutely no regard for the damage or danger that they do to our communities. Heroin continues to be a major concern for all of us in law enforcement. It's highly addictive, it's cheap, and it's readily available in every community in our state. And the trends are certainly disturbing. The number of people dying from overdoses of heroin is still on the rise, particularly here in central New York. We've seen heroin laced with the powerful painkiller fentanyl. It provides a much more powerful high for its users, and the dealers use it to be able to cut their product and to increase their profits. Heroin-laced fentanyl is very dangerous and a deadly combination. It's extremely easy to overdose when using it. In today's case, we saw the suspects were also selling fentanyl patches. Abusing or using these patches without a doctor's care, just as deadly. It's important to note that heroin is not just a city problem. It's a concern for every region in our state, including suburban and rural areas, and its addiction knows no boundaries. These drugs don't discriminate. Teens, grandparents, white-collar, blue-collar, single, married, makes no difference. Our members have encountered users from all backgrounds. Imagine if all of the drugs you see here and the drugs that we seize made it to our streets, what the potential deadly impact would have been to our communities. So I just want to do some thank yous. I want to thank Attorney General Eric Schneiderman, who's not here, but I want to thank him for his leadership, not only in the enforcement side, but in the prevention side. He made available money to law enforcement so that we could give our officers and our troopers naloxone, which is a life-saving drug. I want to thank the men and women of the state police, our uniformed troopers who do so much of our roadside interdiction, our community narcotics enforcement team, again, under the leadership of Major Dave Krause, the Attorney General's Organized Crime Task Force, particularly the Deputy Attorney General in charge, Perry Kadnoff, the attorney on this case, the Assistant Attorney General Jim Mendel, who's a tenacious worker, Deputy Chief Gene Black, Supervising Investigator Tom Wolf, Bill Elsenbeck, who's the case investigator, and a great team that they have here in OCTF in Syracuse. Chief Frank Fowler, of course, the Syracuse PD, Onondaga County Sheriff Gene Conway and all of his deputies. We have here with us today the captain from CID, Captain Dan Brogan, who's standing in for the sheriff. Oswego County Drug Task Force, Cortland County Sheriff's Office, New York State Parole, all partners, CBP and Homeland Security Investigations, Salve Police Department, and the Syracuse University Police Department, all taking part in the case and the case takedown. It takes months of work, close interagency cooperation, and patience to develop the evidence that's needed to put these type of cases together and put the dealers behind bars. And I think this case speaks to the incredible interagency coordination and cooperation. So to the colleagues that I stand up here with, I just want to thank all of you for your support, your partnership, and the great work that you do day in and day out. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the Deputy Attorney General in charge of the Organized Crime Task Force, Perry Kadenoff.
Thank you, Superintendent, and good afternoon. Unfortunately, the Attorney General's flight from New York was canceled at the last minute, so he was not able to join us. The Organized Crime Task Force today worked closely for the past 11 months with the partners that you see up here, specifically the State Police and the Syracuse Police Department on this operation. I want to thank Superintendent D'Amico and Chief Fowler for their tremendous leadership in this case. Along with Operation Rolling Thunder, which my office and the State Police announced in Buffalo last week, we have now indicted over 100 narcotics distributors in just the past 5 days. The first ring, you're going to see the pictures of the two rings up here on these boards. The first ring was run by the four Santos brothers, along with Megan Solano. Julio and Ronaldo Santos, as well as Megan Solano, are being charged under the major trafficker statute, which, if convicted, holds up to a life in jail sentence. This crew distributed heroin brought from the Bronx, as well as cocaine and various other opiates, Oxy, Percocet, and, as the superintendent mentioned, fentanyl patches. Keyshawn Smith, who you'll also see on this board here, who used the nickname Mikey and was also known on the street as Bouncy, is also charged with criminal possession of a weapon as well as reckless endangerment, because when he found that rival drug dealers were getting too close to his turf, he shot at them. This ring focused its distribution on the south side of Syracuse. Now, today, just as we were making arrests, if you look down at this table here, you're going to see about 1,000 bags of heroin, which were just taken off the street. These were just taken out of the home of Megan Solano and Julio Santos. You can see here all of the makings of this heroin operation. Here you're going to be able to see a big jar of cutting agent they used so that they could make more and more and more profit from this heroin. So you had almost no idea what was in those little bags of heroin in addition to the heroin. You can see the bricks that were brought up from New York City in their original form before they were broken down into individual little bags to be sold throughout the streets of Syracuse. You can see the boxes of the little bags that they used to mix the cutting agent and mix the heroin before they put it out on the street. And you can see a smattering of their profits that was strewn around their house. So if you take a look here, you can see the makings of their operation. Second operation was fueled by Henry Aguayo and James Harris. They supplied cocaine that was funneled into the suburbs of Oswego and Onondaga counties, areas like Syracuse, Minoa, Central Square, and the Brewerton area in Oswego. As the superintendent said, this is not only a city issue. These drugs are flowing everywhere. During the course of our investigation, we seized over 10,750 ready-to-use little bags filled with heroin, 2 ounces of bulk heroin that would have been packaged into at least another 2,000 bags of heroin, more than a pound of cocaine, oxy pills, hydrocodone pills. As you can see over here on the table, 2 handguns, an electric stun gun, which was disguised as a flashlight, which you can see right over here. 9 rifles, including an assault rifle, 7 guns, and about $40,000. When you take this many players off of the street, this many major players, the people that are on these charts are not drug end users. Every single one of these people is alleged to be a drug dealer, a drug seller. You are making a significant impact in people's lives. We are seeking to disrupt the flow of these deadly narcotics into our communities. Today's arrests are immediately improving the quality of life in communities like South Syracuse and the suburbs of Onondaga and Oswego County. I want to commend the many, many local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies that helped make today's bust a success. These major operations are only possible with the cooperation and coordination of our agencies. As Attorney General Schneiderman has made clear, if you deal death in our community, we are going to come after you with the full force of the law. The Attorney General will be available to answer any questions about this case by phone today after 2:30, and our office will also be sending out a press release with details of this operation. Thank you again to everybody here and to all law enforcement who participated in this operation. Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce a great partner to law enforcement, to the state police, and a true leader in policing, Chief Frank Fowler from the Syracuse PD.
Thanks, Superintendent. As you can tell by the evidence here on the table, that this is a tremendous operation, and some of the words that were already used today is cooperation, collaboration, and cooperation, and those are the words that you have to use in law enforcement today, because we can't do it alone. Law enforcement around the state is dealing with shrinking resources. However, we have this problem in our community with heroin and opioid use, addictions. And as a result, the bad guys are getting wind of this, and they're selling this. They're continuing to sell this poison, because that's exactly what it is. They're continuing to sell this poison, and it's profitable to them. And they're willing to arm themselves to protect their craft and their trade. And these dangerous guns were out on our streets in the homes of the people who were selling this poison. And throughout the city of Syracuse, on almost a daily basis, our officers are responding to shots fired and various other incidents of violence. And these incidents are associated with this drug trade. So here today, by taking these real bad actors into custody, what we're doing is that we're making our neighborhoods that much more safer. But it doesn't end here today. This is a tremendous partnership that we've established here, and we plan to continue to use this partnership to continue to go after those who would choose to use violence in our community, to poison the great citizens of our community. This is the type of operation that you're going to see over and over again. It's something that's proven by the results here today that it works. We have a recipe for success, and we plan to continue to use it over and over again. I'm extremely grateful and thankful to our law enforcement partners. We have a great partnership with the New York State Police, and thanks to the AG's office and the Organized Crime Task Force, the Sheriff's Department, the local towns and villages that participated in this operation to make it successful. And as I said before, this is a recipe for success. We're going to continue to put it in action. That's it.
Thank you, Chief. I don't think you can underscore it enough that it's all about partnerships among the police, and about different levels of law enforcement, partnership with the communities to reach out and help us to make cases against these dealers, and to work with us to get these people out of their communities.